Yeah. Right? And I'm not playing no games. Yeah.
Greetings and salutations, all you out there in the interwebs. It is comic book time again. I am Pops. I am your host, the Gobshite with a mic. And we are in the middle of another Florida storm. So if you were with me last night, you know we were delayed for an hour. We already had one power outage. Now, right here, this lovely lady, Megan Lee, Noob
Hi.
Reviews. New and exciting YouTuber. She's so much fun and awesome to listen to. Please subscribe, check her out, and we're going to talk comic book nonsense. So thank you so much for fitting me in, man. Doing this, it's going to be a blast. Let's do it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Phil TMT, hey Phil, hey Jace, how you doing out there? The dad of the fellowship, he calls me that.
Aw.
Yes,
I
Phil.
love
Megan is amazing. Hence the reason
Oh
that
my
she's
gosh.
here. So let's talk comic
Phil has been the first person to put all my links up, like to promote things before I can get it done.
I have to change your settings so that I get all of your notices. I'm doing that. I'm literally doing that like right now because I'm not seeing all of it. So let's talk comic book stuff. So listen, you kind of like the first time I saw you, you'd come back from the expo. I've gone through like 6 videos right away. And I'm like, oh, this is so much fun. It's like the new person. They're excited about everything from Casper to Conan. There's Megan going, yeah. And I'm like, this is the best ever. I'm so excited. So how on earth did this even like, you went this couple minutes in your life and now you're like, oh, check out this comic book thing.
Yeah, because I literally never really read comic books. I read my public library had some Adventures of Tintin and Asterix and Obelix.
Okay.
And I came across those randomly. Like my mom would just bring us to the library and we just set us free and we would just be there for hours because we just grew up reading. And I came across these and those were like the only comic books I read. And it never occurred to me that there'd be more out there or to search for. Like, I don't know what was going on. Kid brain, like whatever. I don't know.
She's homeschooled kids. She's a homeschooler.
Which
I'm allowed to say because we homeschooled our kids. So I'm allowed to say you out there, you're not allowed to pick. Just stop. Don't even start typing nonsense about homeschoolers. Just stop. We're allowed to pick on each other. You're not allowed to say anything out there, you public school nonsense.
Your brain just works differently, right?
Yes, it does.
And so like when you're in public school, you're surrounded by the popular thing of the day, of the moment. Whereas if you're homeschooled, you just find something you like and you just do it because you don't know if it's cool or not, really. There's no other kids to be like, why would you do that? It's like, I like this.
We had our kids were all in like clubs and sports and stuff. So there was a little bit of like what was going on in the world. They weren't as sheltered as some homeschool kids, but they definitely would not have been exposed to just anything goes like a public school is. Like the kids could take stuff to backpacks and whatever. You never know what's going to happen. So, all right. So that's pretty cool. So that's a pretty big step, though. We still have a gap to fill in here of how you ended up at like the Dallas Comic-Con and the meetups, and there's a big gap there. So let's fill in some gaps.
So I just went through life, not like years, decades, right? Almost of no comic books, not a lot of pop culture, because it kind of wasn't really allowed when I was growing up. Really, a lot of it, pretty strict, like. Very, I don't know what your religious background is, but like very strict Baptist, like very strict Baptist. Is that
Harry Potter's evil kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
got it. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
that.
So I'm the Christian that went to school late in life to get credentials and would fight with other Christians on Harry Potter is evil, but Star Wars is okay, and you're a crazy person. Like something's wrong with you. If that's your equation, like your kids are allowed to dress up and have lightsabers, but you don't see Harry Potter's the exact same freaking thing. Like I literally could do like the metaphors of, let's see, the little guy that's inexperienced wants to go out into the universe and learn things from an old guy to have a magic stick to fight a like literally it's a freaking exact same archetypes.
Well, and that was the thing, because my mom was like, Harry Potter's bad, but she watched Star Wars, and we watched Star
They're the
Wars.
exact same thing.
Same thing. Anyway, so like, I wasn't exposed to this, or it wasn't allowed, or whatever, right? I did sneak read Harry Potter, though. I hid the books under my bed. I'm not gonna lie.
Under your bed? You're like in the house? I would expect you to have done it at the library, but under the bed, that's pretty risky. That's pretty hard.
I know, but I shared it with my sister, and we had a bunk bed. It was a pretty small room, and we had like so much craft stuff in these bins that slid under our bed. So I put them behind the bins, between the wall and the bins.
Where like the duct tape project is, and the craft glue and all that stuff. It's like secretly
like boxes of junk. My mom.
Harry has moved from under the stairs to under Megan's bed, and it's a very weird thing out of context to say out loud, but it's actually what happened. Okay,
it's totally what happened. Yeah. So. It really wasn't until, basically the beginning of COVID, and I was bored. I had a lot more time on my hands, like a lot of people did at the start of all that. And it was at that point I found Carrie Smith, and because I just went on YouTube because COVID, and I was trying to find information and figure out what I thought. And I came across Carrie Smith, and then through her, she was on Friday Night Tights, and I was like, "Oh, I like her. I want to watch this show." And then Friday Night Tights, and it was weird, but every once in a while,
you're such a heathen now. Like you're just such a heathen now, subjecting yourself to. And Phil, you were a homeschooler too, bro. Sorry that you hated it.
Really?
I try to make it reasonable for our kids. Oh, good you, Phil. And Hada Paul is here. Steven Ransom's here. Jace is still making comments. He goes, I'm the anarchist and metalhead that dropped out of high school the second year to start a life and find my own way. Yeah, man, that is pretty.
I just found metal too in the last couple years. The only metal I'd ever listened to is like Christian metal.
Oh, like Red or Skillet?
Mm-hmm. Which is
an Echo. Do you have an Echo?
I can't hear an Echo.
Okay. Maybe it's just weird. The weather. I'll blame the weather. Everything is easy.
Probably your weather.
So, Carrie Smith's your gateway drug to FNT, which is now a gateway drug to metal. Like how kind of metal? Like Sabbath? Like Iron Maiden? Or like
FNT, they had Dan Vasc on one time.
He did the theme song. Yes.
Yes. And then it just and then it was Geeks and Gamers. And then I kept finding all the people and just,
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, look at all these people doing this cool stuff that I have no idea about, but it's really, really fun. And I was like, I could do this. I'm going to do this. So yeah, I don't know. It was just this random thing. And I did really want to play games because I have a Switch and I do play games on my Switch, and I'm really bad, but it's fun. But I just didn't technology wise, I wasn't set up for it quite yet. So I thought, I love to read. I'll do comic books. Yeah.
Very cool.
That's how I got here.
She's a heathen now, Mom, because she's reading Killing Joke. Just so y'all know. It's bad. Killing Joke is hardcore. Killing Joke is hardcore. Killing Joke is
a lot of people recommend that one to me.
It's a classic. So, all right. So first off, you have to answer my question. Did you open it to see what print it is?
I haven't done that yet. I have it right
here. You need to be really careful when you do this because if it is a first print, we're going to have a problem. Because I'm not sure I'm going to let you read it. I may have to get you a cheap copy. But I think it's like an 11th print.
Well, and the thing is, I don't think it had been opened by anybody yet.
Okay.
Because
So you can hold the cover up when you take it out. Just be careful with it. So see, guys, how it's green. The green, I'm pretty sure, is first print, and as they do different prints, those colors change. So there's a pink and a yellow and a purple, and all those things. But I think they went back to green. So if she's very careful and opens it to where the publishing stuff is on the early pages, she can tell us what print it is. Because if it's first print, it's actually worth money. I mean, we may need to send her a cheap copy to read because Killing Joke is a difficult book to read because it's cardstock.
I don't even
have all that.
It hasn't even really been open, because it's like stiff. I don't want to. Yeah. I don't want to break the spine. Okay. Published by DC Comics. Copyright 1988.
Yeah. It doesn't say second print, third print, fourth print, nothing.
Not on this page.
Did you pay like more than $20 for this thing?
Yes.
Okay, you may want to put this back in the plastic and not read that one. We may want to just verify it's a first print, because the first print would be worth money.
How would I find it? Wait, something on the back?
No. It's if it's not there, it's probably first print. I'll double check my notes and make sure I'm not misleading you. But yeah, because what'll happen with the spine as you read it, here's a Dark Knight Returns. This is Miller's other piece. This is Miller's gem that everyone will talk about with Killing Joke. It's this classic, iconic story, hardcore Batman, that kind of thing. And as you read them, because of the cardstock, this spine, you'll see the white creases, you'll see all that. You don't want to read a first print of Killing Joke, because it's going to be very difficult to not create those marks on it.
Right.
And there's got to be a cheap 13th print or something we can find for you to read.
Okay.
When you held it up, I panicked because it was green. Because any of them are green, I was like, hold on, red tape. Hold on, full stop. It's green. It could be a first print.
I'm glad you're here then, because I'm just a total normie noob and I don't know anything.
I know. Hence the name, hence the brand. I got it. It's the same thing with the Wolverines. I was like a little panicked because by the time I think I saw your first video, you had already finished issue 2, and I'm like, oh man, those are expensive. But she sure is enjoying them. Yeah.
Well, and then I was like, I need to be so careful with these, and I realized the comic books have a black cover. They show wear and tear so much faster, because I have some older ones just that I've got like secondhand or whatever.
Yep.
And so like that Wolverine, that's like the black cover. I'm like, okay, I'm not like, I'm reading this once and it's going back in, and I'm not taking this out again. Like, I'm not.
That's so funny. Yeah. No, it is really challenging. I did a video, and I haven't done any clips from it yet, but I did it with Wakashi Tea House, and it was about reading, collecting, and investing. And it's kind of a Venn diagram of all those things. And it's kind of a careful balance between trying to encourage people, because I want everyone to read them, but I wouldn't want someone to go out and spend $50 on a book and read it and tear it up and ruin it, think it's still worth $50, realizing they could have bought like a $5 knockoff copy to read and keep the nice collectible one. So that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. So
yeah.
Anyway, so yes, I saw the Killing Joke that she teased, and I put a comment on her video, and if I didn't hear back, I was going to message her privately, like, hey, full stop. You probably have a first print, because they do change colors if you look to see, and there are rare ones. Like I didn't notice. I think I have like a 9th print that I've never read. It was in a box of junk I bought, and it was like, whoa, it's rare. I didn't know it was rare, so I never really done anything with it, but. Let's see what else happened with comments. Went crazy for a minute there. They're talking about you being radical. Like Paul says, you used to be a Catholic. Hey, listen, Jace just gave you a sub. Look at this. We're doing our work here.
Thank you.
Making gets more metal by the second. Yes, that's what we should be here for. This is our AC/DC month on Pops. Steven did a AC/DC parody photo for me. Somebody I can pull it up later.
Nice.
Weather will cooperate. Killing Joke movie isn't as good as the comic. No, the Killing Joke movie is blasphemy compared to the comic.
I haven't seen
Awful. Cannot recommend that.
Okay.
Jay says it's not his fave, but it's really good. Movie, ew, doesn't want to talk about that first part of the movie. Yeah, there's a really cringy, sexy thing that happens in that movie. Makes no sense. So. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay, so where's that? You did a Batman and Robin, and it has like a water stain on it. Do you have that one handy?
I think it's upstairs.
It's okay.
Like that really old one with
Yeah. You were super funny about, it's really old. I want to be careful with it. It has water and it's all brittle. Yeah, it's crap. It's just tear it up. Read it. If it's got water stains, it's not worth nothing.
The one with poison ivy on it that her shadow looks like Peter Pan.
It's so strange back then. And you the Conan, like the cover doesn't match the inside. I'm like,
I didn't know that was a thing.
it's so
I was so upset because I was like, this looks so cool. Look at this character. I want to see this. There's like, I mean, she's obviously a bad guy, but
yeah.
Nope. Never.
So
it was not
I'm sure if someone else hasn't told you by now, back then Marvel would they have writers, artists, and cover artists, and they're not all working in good editorial conjunction sometimes. And if Roy was involved, Roy was probably just cranking them out, and they changed the villain or they did something and it doesn't match, and he's like, I'm not doing it again. I'm Roy Thomas. I'm not doing it again. Roy is one of those famous OGs from us nerds, but most people wouldn't know who he is. You know what I mean? Like everybody knows about Stan Lee or Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, but you have this other tier of these guys that were just like mass producers, and Roy is in that category. Yeah,
And I mean,
so
it's a really cool piece of art. It really is.
Just doesn't match.
Fantastic, but it just doesn't match the story at all.
Match at all. So
yeah.
You really made me laugh because you're just so enthused over like Casper and Mickey Mouse and all this other stuff, and I'm laughing, and you're like, it's so old and whatever, and I'm like, yeah, it's still worth like $5.
Yeah.
Just go enjoy, have some fun. So like I said, think of it as reading, collecting, and then there's investing as its own. Like there's like there is a Venn diagram to it, but it's like I
probably need to see this diagram.
I would have to draw it
Maybe
out.
it would
probably make everybody's. It would make everybody's head. I was actually on a stream last night, and they were like, "We're gonna have to schedule an entire collector's night because of this conversation." I'm like, I didn't mean to derail, because someone basically admitted that they had a famous X-Men run by the guy that you were reading, those Wolverine, that Chris Claremont guy. He's a famous writer, right? So he's very famous on the X-Men. They're very, very expensive. So I would tell you to read them if you can. Look up X-Men Claremont famous stories, find graphic novels, and read them cheap. Find them cheap. When you go to shows like what you went to, people will sell graphic novels at a show like that for like $5 because they don't want to carry them home.
Right.
Especially if like when you go Sunday. Sunday's the best time to buy bulk. I'll give you $40 for the whole box, kind of thing. Like it's great. People do not want to have to. I was the buyer. I took a youth group to a comic show once, and we're leaving, and some guy had a bin of toys, and they're all picking through. Like the guy was, give me a couple $. And I said, how much for the whole box? He was like, I don't know, it was like $50. It's sold. And I said, here, kids, just take a toy, pick a toy, no fighting. Nice. Everybody just they don't want to take it home, you know? Yeah. So Megan needs to read The Crow. Okay. The Crow, again, The Crow has a cool, dark edginess. Have you seen the movie? Have you seen the movie? Okay. Write down seeing the movie. You don't need to see the comic book before seeing the movie or vice versa. Again, graphic novel for Crow. Original Crow is very, very expensive. Okay. Trivia for you in the chat. Without looking, can you be honest and tell us that you know what the first appearance of Crow is for you in the chat? I'll take that challenge if any of you know. Let's see. Any other cool chat before I go further into this nonsense? So awesome. All right. Well, I didn't hide the comment because I'm a boomer. I'm not a boomer. I don't even know where it went. Hide current comment. There you go. That works. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. What has it been like? What's the feedback been from folks watching you do these videos of, like I said, everything from Casper to Conan?
Really pretty positive. Like I was actually kind of afraid at first because before I even made my first video, went on Twitter because I didn't know nothing. And I was like, where should I start reading comic books? And I had no idea that is a loaded question.
Oh man.
Because everybody has like their own personal idea. And I also said, I don't want anything woke. And it just like,
oh, that's even worse. Yeah, you're
even like maybe 100 or so people following me on Twitter. There weren't even that many people, and you just have to go on like Twitter and whisper comic books, and then everybody's like, "Wow!" Like, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was more confused than ever, actually.
Yeah, because of the FNT success, the comic book thing on Twitter has now kind of become a thing. Like it is kind of a network of things, and that's why I think it's silly business for these. I'm sure you've heard a lot of these new comic books and their creators, like they block people and they censor things. A lot of politics. I'm like, it's so bad for business because Twitter is like this great marketing tool. Because I deleted Twitter twice. And now I go so once I saw it as a marketing tool, like a free email connection to people, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm good now. See how this works and operates.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: for those of you at home who want to know like how to get into comic books, okay, the first thing you kind of have to actually think, like what are things that interest you, like what kind of genres, because you're kind of balancing like stuff that you appreciate as a kid, like your love of the Casper and Mickey Mouse and that kind
Yeah.
of fun stuff. And there's tons of that. I also think I mentioned to you, or maybe it was Mags, because Mags is in the same boat. She was on with me on our Pops Talk show. And I said, what kind of movies do you like? Because there were a lot of movie adaptations. I think I showed off. I'll have to dig it out in a minute. I have a Battlestar Galactica right here in this box. I looked at the Battlestar Galactica. Marvel did licensing for pretty much everything. There's Indiana Jones. They did the famous Star Wars series. I mean, they had all that kind of stuff. So if you like that kind of stuff, now again, the older it is, the more expensive it could be. So people have to be honest. How much do you really want to spend? And then it's like, what do you like? Do you like Batman? Do you like X-Men? Or do you have anything?
Mhm.
And what I really loved about watching your videos is you're like, nah, I'm just going to read a little bit of everything. Let me try one of these. Let me try one of those. Let me try one of these. It's fun. So has anything floated to the top for you so far?
Definitely a lot of French comics, like the Asterix and Obelix. And then somebody recommended Valerian to me.
Yes.
Loved it.
Yeah,
I got
Valerian's
just
good.
a graphic novel of first volume,
Mhm.
and I read that whole thing. Love the art and the story, and it's fantastic. So I'm trying to get the second volume, and then of course Asterix and Obelix, and it's a new one. It's called Animal Castle.
Not familiar.
Oh, I have it because it's so good, and I'm gonna take it out of the bag. It is inspired by George Orwell's Animal Farm.
Okay. Yes. Obviously,
Yeah,
I
and
read
it's
that.
just like
Okay.
beautiful. Oh, there goes my alarm. Beautiful art, and I love the story. If I think everybody should read these because I think historically it has like a really good lesson for people. But
Is it sort of like a telling of Animal Farm in a way?
in a way,
Okay.
like they definitely take inspiration from it. Like
So there's
the
some creative
animal-
liberties, but it's inspired by. Got it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Are
no.
you familiar with like the TV show called Once Upon a Time or Grimm or something like that?
Yes, I watched most of the seasons of Once Upon a Time, and then I kind of just
Okay.
a little meh for me. But
All right. So then there's a comic book series by his name is Bill Willingham, and it's called Fables.
oh, I think I've heard of that. I think somebody may have mentioned that to me.
Do you have an Ollie's near you? You ever heard of Ollie's? Like a discount? It's like a discount store. Like all this crap that they can't sell in these bookstores goes there.
I could probably go into there's one in Harker Killeen. Yeah.
Yeah, don't dox yourself here. I was that,
Nope.
don't give me the address. Flea markets.
Always.
Yeah,
Okay.
flea markets, Ollie's. A lot of this stuff ends up in places like that. I got this for like $4. It's like a
Okay, this is
hardback. It's called
Fable.
Fables, and it's basically like Once Upon a Time
Yeah.
for adults. So it's dark, edgy, sexy, strange.
Mm-hmm.
I like it's also you like this too. You love compartmentalized stories, like little mini series and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So they're volumes. So it'll show a volume on the side. Let me make sure I can
Okay.
see right here. Like this is volume 1.
Yep.
But so if you pick up like volume 4, it might be a little tricky to pick up on a few things or whatever. But reality is a self-contained story. You probably can enjoy it.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's cool to know. That's good to know. That's good. And I don't know how you ended up down the Killing Joke avenue because that is the dark, edgy turn for Batman. So, well, before we get to that, kudos to Jace. Jace did know Caliber Presents #1 is the first appearance of Crow. Extremely rare comic book. Very, very low print run. And for any of you that are into the collecting/investing category, as Megan said earlier, it has like that black edge, the black cover. Good luck finding the mint. They do not exist mint. And if they are, they're graded. And I'm talking hundreds of dollars. And if they're professionally graded, thousands of dollars. Like a first appearance, like perfect, a 9.8 graded is probably a couple grand. Yeah. Super, super rare. And again, I say that for a modern comic, like not old school stuff. This is actually something from like, 89 or something. Phil, I agree. I don't have this. This is on my need list.
It.
Last Ronin TMT. And Phil, do you know, is there already like a graphic novel or a collected version? Because the last I saw, I could get all 5 issues. It was like over $100, and I'm not doing that. Not until I know I like it. I have to like it to spend that kind of money. And if until I read it, know for sure I'm going to like it, I'm not going to do it. But I heard great things. Because like you, the only modern comics I got into was Berserker. But you're ahead of me. I don't have all of them. I only got a few.
I took a chance and I literally bought the first 9 issues that are out.
Okay.
Like I
It's
flipped
okay.
through
I liked
the
it.
first- yeah, I do like it. But yeah, kind of took a chance buying all of them at once.
You did, Paul. I agree. This is why she's here. I just literally. What were you? Were you on Salty?
Yeah.
You were on Salty. That's where I saw you. I think
I was with a Troubled Green and Salty was there. I was on Culture Casino for what? I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I saw you on one or more of those, and that's how I reached out. This is so much fun. I just like this is fun. So I agree. 100%, Paul. It's fun. Let's see. Pop's old school European sci-fi pulp. How is she gonna find it? How is she gonna find that, Steven? You're gonna have to give me something more specific to tell her.
Is he talking about Valerian?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, I mean, eBay.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's where I got my first volume off of eBay.
Yeah.
But it's touch and go on eBay, you know?
Why were you nervous to talk to Megan?
I was nervous because going on Phil's live stream was literally my very first live stream in my entire life. And I think I had less than 100 subscribers at that point. And it only made like 4 or 5 videos. I don't know. Yeah. Why would you be nervous, Phil? I was the nervous one.
I have that on my like it's sort of like in the investment list. Like if I can get to a point financially where I can like pay off a credit card or pay off my car or something like that, and want to like, okay, I'm going to spend some tax money or something instead of I don't owe taxes that year or something like that. Like, all right, I got $2,000. I'll invest in that comic book. That's like literally like, but it is a big, expensive move. Okay, so all 5 issues are a 1-pack. Okay, I'll have to search it out. Probably eBay. Not sure I trust local shops or hit and miss. We'll see. Yeah, similar to Crow is Cerebus the Aardvark. You did spell it right. It's a little. I don't know. She would like. I think it's on that. I think if you can find something cheap enough, it's worth a shot. It's kind of like in between. It's almost like a little bit of the fantasy with a little bit of like the Disney feel, like a little bit of the silliness.
Okay.
Another one is called Bone by Jeff Smith, and they're probably graphic novels of his that you can get inexpensive, and it's kind of like kid stuff, but it's like the thing when they actually could write and actually could tell stories and tell story arcs. Yeah, it's that kind of stuff. It's like even though it can be young for kids or it can be safe, it's also like, oh, by the way, we can actually pick things up here, like a Toy Story used to be, and things like that. So.
Yeah.
Elf Quest, hardcore fantasy recommendation, but yeah, Elf Quest can be good. Yeah. So yeah, similar to Killing Joke, and I showed the picture. This is headed to Mags. This is the classic. This is Dark Knight Returns. This is Miller. Alan Moore did your Killing Joke. Get cheap copies to read. Batman had been very campy. Batman hadn't really been taken very serious. A lot of the villains were still wearing bright colored costumes and silliness. A lot of that. You were joking about Poison Ivy looks too much like a Peter Pan stand-in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then along came Killing Joke and Dark Knight, and it all turned dark. And actually kind of to the detriment of the industry. Like it almost got too dark in some ways. Like it kind of gets carried away. If you like Miller, because you do like his Wolverine.
Yes.
I recommended his Daredevil miniseries, The Man Without Fear. I think I messaged you that, but if not, yeah, Man Without Fear. It's a 5-part miniseries, and basically it's Miller retelling the origin story. It's not the origin story; it's his version, but it's good. And again, he has a Batman Year One, and Miller's older stuff is always really, really good. So.
I'm like writing stuff down like crazy right now.
I know. I have notes too. Just so you know that we all have notes. Like, so what I do is I have I literally notepad. These notes are for different things. So these are 2 different. These are actually 3 different things and then I reconcile it into my notebook, probably about every other
Smart.
day.
See, I need a notebook because I have like sticky notes, and then I have just random pieces of paper all over the place.
Yeah, my
And
notebook's in my car because I took it to work because I was making notes and reconciling video stuff. Like, where do I? Because I'm so far behind now on making clips and thumbnails and all the other stuff that goes along with being a YouTuber. It's like I have to kind of take notes, but I do have notes of. Because I was just talking with Graham Nolan, and I had 2 recommendations. So 2 of these things came from that conversation. So, well, of course, I remember seeing her around. And been meaning to reach out, was nervous that I was going to say something that made me sound crazy. I mean, I am crazy, but didn't want her to know that yet. Good job, Phil. Good job. Well, I told Megan I was going to mail her something, and she's like, "What? And I realized this sounded really, really strange. And I was like, okay, let me explain. I have like so much stuff, and my wife's like, "Yeah, get rid of some stuff, man." And like, "Yeah, okay." And I'm like, someone like Megan, you can just have some stuff. Like, I got stuff that's not. I want you to read. I'm not going to send you stuff to collect or to invest. I'm sending you stuff to read. So, anyway,
I'm excited.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a minute. Steven Ransom, early part of the run. The new stuff is dense. Let's go back to see. Oh, you must be talking about Cerebus. Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's again. I found it all kind of hit and miss and stuff, but you kind of have to feel your way along some of that. So. Phil's version of The Last Ronin was able to find on Amazon. Hey, Brandon Looney Tunes fans here. Hey, hope you're doing well, my friend. Thanks for hopping in. Yes, people take notes, Phil. There's no hair. I'm an old school dude. She's a homeschooler. They take notes.
Yeah.
Why? Because they were trained by people like me.
It's true.
I will say there's no more notes for appointments. I am on Google Calendar, which is probably the most primitive calendar system in the world, but I don't have notes for all that anymore. So let's see. All right, let's go to stuff I'm going to send you. Let's have some fun with it. It's a small stack. So this was a way of getting you into Grant Morrison, so the creators, right? So you don't have to remember because I'm going to send you the book. So Grant Morrison and Frank Whiteley, they work together often. They have a X-Men run. This is a series that they call All-Star. So there's an All-Star Superman, All-Star Batman, blah, blah, blah. So this was this special edition #1 issue that I have. And it's like, well, why would I send this to Megan? It seems like it would be worth money. I don't know if it's worth money or not. But I do know that somehow, for some reason, Pops, in my box, I have a whole freaking stack of these things. I had like 12 of these. I don't even know idea why. Don't know. Bought a box and they're in there. So you get one. And I thought it was a good way to get an experience of what Grant Morrison, I think, is a great writer. You can pick and choose stories with his name. And I think Frank Whiteley's got a very unique art style. It may or may not be for you. That's all. Okay. I thought this is a Superman action issue with Supes and Batman together.
Fun.
It's kind of a good way to get introduced to them interacting with each other because it is a very interesting dynamic with how DC handles them. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. The dark criminal vigilante versus the Boy Scout who doesn't age and he's impervious to everything. And yeah. Then I was like, well, I should probably sit it because I'm a DC guy first as a collector. For those of you that are wondering, I'm kind of a Marvel fan, but I'm a DC collector. So I was a Batman collector. So there's a whole set of just random Robins. So I think I'm missing one issue. I don't know why. So it probably is in some other box. So sadly for Megan, she's going to be missing an issue. But the reason I'm sending these are all written by Chuck Dixon, who I think is a fantastic Batman Robin. Yeah, there's 2 to a bag because it's easier to. They're nice and carefully placed in there. She can get introduced to Robin without Batman. Mm-hmm. I have to be honest, I do enjoy some of the covers too. I think there actually is some good art sometimes. There's good stuff. And anyway, it's a few issues. It's I don't know, 6, 8, whatever from Dixon. Let's see. And then okay. I also thought it's important, folks, for everyone to know there's crap out there. So back in the day, they'd make a lot of money on #1 issues, first appearance issues, and things like that. So their solution was, let's do a whole bunch of those. And I kid you not, there would be like first appearances of just like the dumbest, craziest stuff. So DC, they would do these. They will do what? You'll see annuals. It's called an annual.
Yep.
Like it's a once a year thing, right?
Right.
And they're self-contained stories that you can dabble in, right? There are good ones and bad ones. But this year they did Bloodlines, so there's a Bloodlines for every single title, and it's a first appearance issue. It's just a generic way to introduce a character. They're almost always crap. I don't remember this one, and I was like, well, it's a good way to let her know not everything is good and have some fun, because it has this weird alien on the front, and I could just see you open and go, well, why does she have spears for hands? And I don't remember this at all. Yeah.
That's so weird. That looks super weird.
It's just stuff they did. But Dixon wrote it, so it actually may not be that bad. He's a good writer.
Okay.
He really, really is. And then this is a Superman series I had like 3 sets of. Stop judging me, chat. I don't know why. I don't. This is why she's getting this stuff from me, because I have this much. So this is called Superman Birthright by Mark Waid, who is a crazy person in real life, but actually writes some good stuff. Again, the art's kind of different. There's a few issues that I don't think it's the whole run, but it's part of a run.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'll find some more stuff. It's under a little box, little media box. It'll take forever to get there because the post office stinks, but there you go.
It'll be a surprise.
Yeah, why not? Let's see. All right, we got people popping in here. Ironcaster. See, I also can recommend. Oh yeah, well, of course. Came in America. Wholesome modern superhero. Started as a Captain Marvel parody, but now is her own thing. Get fairly cheap on Amazon. Yes. And some of the stuff that he has is really, really good. So watch out, she might like it. Bloodlines, you mean? Listen, it's a Chuck Dixon story, so that one actually might be good. But the point is there all are these crazy things that are out there, especially during that era. So what is one of the things you've been like most surprised by so far with the stuff that you've read and enjoyed or not enjoyed?
I was actually surprised by. So I have read Wonder Woman. I really wanted to get into Wonder Woman. I don't have them right here, but I read 2 different Wonder Women. One, I didn't like it. It was kind of probably from the 80s, and she was just so emotional. Like very emotional, which is fine. Like women are emotional, but I was like, she's Wonder Woman. Why is she crying all the time? Like
she has wonderful emotions. I guess she's like.
I was kind of annoyed. Like, stop crying. You're Wonder Woman. Just get it together. And then an earlier one.
Did you do your video on that?
Yes.
I gotta find that video of you going. You just gotta stop crying, girl. I gotta find this video. Like, listen, pull together your Wonder Woman.
And then I read one that was like from the 60s. And so she was like, it was a little bit different how she was drawn. She looked different. I liked it better. And then she was back with her mother. And anyway, she was still very feminine. She wasn't so emotional.
Okay.
Like she had emotion, but she wasn't controlled by her emotions. Whereas the 1980s Wonder Woman, the specific issue I read, just seemed so controlled by her emotions. And it drove me nuts. Anyway.
Well, as the kids say these days, it wasn't written for me. So I will not pretend that I have consumed a lot of Wonder Woman or really care to.
And I was so excited because
it's a really cool character, and it is done right at times. And she is I really do enjoy a lot of Justice League and JLA, like the abbreviated one, Justice League of America. I do enjoy a lot of that, and she's very prominent. Of course, she's one of the big 3, so that's fine. But you're right. If I picked up a Wonder Woman miniseries or something and she's just crying all the time and she's less Wonder than my wife, I'm going to be like, well, you're not really much Wonder at all. Like, my wife doesn't behave like this. What the hell's wrong with you, lady? Get your act together, Diana.
I think I wanted to like I was really excited to like her, and I kind of felt let down, I think.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
fair.
kind of disappointing because I had built up in my mind who Wonder Woman was.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you'll get a lot of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
sadly, because sadly, these creators kind of come and go too. You know what I mean? It's like it is, and like I said, I just finished talking to Graham Nolan. Well, he was on Batman or some variation of Batman, detective or whatever, for years, and it's like we briefly touched on it because he didn't really want to go down that rabbit hole. He's beat on the freaking Batman career, hit part of his career so many times. We didn't want to spin our wheels there the whole time, but it was like, at some point, how many times can you draw Batman on a roof? How many times you're drawing Batman or Robin like every single freaking issue? I said, at least the villains you can rotate, right? He has a cool bunch of villains. Oh, this will be like, I'll get to do Riddler for a couple months, and then I'll all right, switch off, and this will be my Penguin time of the year or whatever. But yeah, there's peaks and valleys with all this stuff, that's for sure. So we have we're gonna have to fight with this person because I think you're gonna agree with me, Megan. Steven says, you can take a photograph of any notes directly into an app. Yes, you can, Steven. And I am aware of that. And you know what will happen if Megan and I start doing that? We will have a phone app full of a whole bunch of sticky notes and no organization, no structure or anything. Just be a whole bunch of freaking crap in there is what will happen. And we'll have more sticky notes. That's all that's going to happen. You're just going to have us a way of throwing away the old ones and making. Now, what you do is you make a note, and then you cross stuff off. And you know why you do that? Because biochemically, you get a little hit of dopamine that you actually accomplished something today. And then you rewrite your to-do list, you restructure, you reprioritize, and you also have to. The most important thing is give your permission to not do things. Some things may never get done. You have to kind of pick and choose. But
have you ever written something down that you've done, but it wasn't on your list in the first place, and then cross it off to make yourself?
My wife does that. I don't do that. She does that. She has
maybe it's a woman thing. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm like, I did this thing that was super important. I'm putting it on my list and I'm crossing it.
That's so funny. What was it like? Was okay. I refuse. I don't know if you know the story or not. There's San Diego Comic-Con. It starts next week. Okay. They somehow got away with copywriting, or what do they call it, guys? Help me out with the terminology. That these other places can't use the term Comic-Con because theirs was called Comic-Con. So that's why it's called Fan Expo or whatever you went to in Dallas instead of being called Dallas Comic-Con, which is what it should be called, Dallas Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of words to get to. What was it like going? Was that your first con? And what was that like?
That was my first con ever in my life. Like, I was aware that these things existed.
By the way, that way when you watch this video, because you probably do that, which you shouldn't do, but you do. I sometimes, and you should just watch your eyes, your face. Like, that was my first one. Like this was crazy. I mean, you could just see your face. That's what makes you special. Don't ever lose that. Because you just go instantly right back to what matters. It's perfect. So with your first con, sorry, I shouldn't even interrupt.
What was the question again?
First Comic-Con like experience, whatever. So
yeah. Oh yeah. So I went to Dallas to go to the meetup. But a bunch of them were going to be there, and they were going to do like their panel and everything. So I thought this would be fun, and I can pick up comic books. And I actually wanted to get my picture taken with Gina. So yeah, I thought I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna go, and I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea about anything. I didn't realize there'd be that many people. I knew there'd be people, but I had nothing to compare this to, right? Like literally nothing to make a comparison to at all.
A lot of smelly nerds in one room. Just saying. I can say it because I is one, people. Don't throw rocks at me.
It was really awesome because I just loved the energy I felt. as you're walking in and more people are coming in, all the different entrances, and we're all walking through this huge building that had multiple things going on, actually, but the Fan Expo was the biggest one. So it was like walking through an airplane terminal. That's what it felt like. It was huge.
Like a convention center, right?
Yeah, it was a convention center. And oh, my dog. It just this buildup of energy as more and more people are coming together and filing in, and I don't know. I hadn't felt that energy in a very, very long time.
Cool.
I think I felt that at my first music festival in Canada, and I can't remember what it was called. It was like a whole bunch of Christian artists. And nope, it wasn't in Canada. We drove down to the States. Yeah, we drove across the border.
Like a winter jam kind of thing or something?
Yeah, everybody just camped out in this huge. It was hosted at this people's vineyard, and like we all camped out in the field. It was at this gorge.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, it's the
You
same,
still
the
have- do you
same
still-
kind of energy.
Do you oh, never mind. I was going to derail the conversation. I'll put a pin in that. Come back. Keep going. All this energy. Walk in the same room. Keep going. My ADD. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. No, it was just so cool that all this energy, and honestly, I kind of felt like it sounds kind of stupid and cliche, but I kind of felt like I was at home. It was really
Aww.
yeah.
That's super nerdy. I know you're married. You've said that several
Yes.
times. So did you take your hubby?
Oh, I did. And poor guy, like he doesn't know it. He okay, this is him. When I first started getting into this and I was like, I'm gonna read comic books, he was like, okay, whatever. Like, do your thing. And I dragged him to the comic book store and he was just rolling his eyes. He didn't really want to go. And I was all excited and I was picking things off the shelf, and he was just kind of looking around. And he did grow up. Like, in his house, they were allowed to watch movies, and and he had come across comic books. It just never was his thing. But he kept seeing all these comic books of TV shows he'd watched. And he was all like, oh, this is cool. And he's one of those, yeah.
He's like, wait a minute, Marvel did an adaptation of this? Wow, I did not know that. I remember watching G.I. Joe when I was young. They did a comic book series.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Anyway,
yes, they
so
did.
he's got into it, and he has this
We got him hooked too?
OCD. He has this OCD personality. Okay, so like when he's into something, he's super into it. I'm just more methodical about, I like this, and I'm just gonna follow this. And he's all like, I need to get this whole series, and then he's on these websites comparing, and this is the grading of this thingy, and it costs this much, but if you get over here, it costs this much. And he's comparing all the different.
See, that's investing level stuff. That's
Yes.
not. Yeah.
And I'm just like, I just want to read a comic book because
He can message me if he wants to get into grading, because it can be very expensive and you can do it really, really wrong. So
well,
he can
and
message
he's
me
the
if he wants
one
it.
that picked this up, and I don't think he knew this was the first printing.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna have to tell him.
Yeah, he needs to. He can verify that too, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty sure that's a first print, and if it is, it's not one you want to read, and because it's gonna be really hard to read it and not mess it up. And if his OCD is as bad as mine, 'cause I have a healthy overdose of ADD and OCD, so I'm kind of a mess. That's why I work in quality control, so I grade people's work. It's a perfect job for someone like me. Like it's yeah. But yeah, collecting is kind of like a weird thing in my brain. It's kind of weird. So they're asking about Aged Boomer's asking about your dog. Was your dog in the background a bit?
Yeah, she's sleeping on the blankets in the back.
Oh.
She's actually blind.
Aw.
Yeah. She's not old. She's like 7, but she has diabetes and it made her blind. Poor tingy.
Yeah, we had to have a dog. One of our dogs, we had to have its eye removed for that reason. And he's super chill. He's like, okay, just don't have an eye now. He's just fine.
Yeah, no. Like she
Yeah.
gradually went blind. She was always able to see, and then she just gradually went blind. And
Oh yeah.
I don't know. She's still happy. She's just doing her thing.
Steve Ransom says cons are like Super Bowls for comics. Huge turnout. Yeah, I think I said this with Graham Nolan. Like Marvel broke it. Like when Marvel blew up, it became like a chic thing to do. So I'm thinking that some of that's gotten old, but with the pandemic, it's all new again. So, and Phil agrees, cons are a blast to go to. Yes. Yeah. Repeating what we said earlier. Do not watch the movie. Trust me, AG Boomer. I warned her. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't
Okay.
do it.
I'm not much of a
Phil's
Aw,
bonding to you
Phil,
over his
your kitty.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, cons are a fun experience. I've kind of been there, done that. So I can't imagine doing cons. I was interested in the meetup. I'm kind of iffy. It's a long haul. Gas is expensive. We make plane flights are expensive. Like I'm just trying to figure out a way to balance it right now. But interested in doing it. If you're out in Florida, hit me up. Maybe we can get together here in Florida or something like that. But making a long
I'm gonna
trek.
try and make it to the Orlando one.
Ooh, cool. Yeah, let me know.
I think I'd be going down myself. Like I wouldn't, because my husband has to work.
Let
He's
me know. Maybe the wife and I.
Yeah.
Maybe my wife and I will come down and see you or something. Figure out a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll road trip me back and forth to Orlando. That's where my comic book is called Cleaning and Pressing. It's like a way of like getting some of the dings and stuff out if you're going to get them graded.
Oh.
These people, so that's where my genius. He's a genius. Cleaning presser is outside of Orlando. Phil, you cosplay.
Ooh.
What? Phil can't go there as a normal person. Yes, you can. Phil, what do you cosplay as? I would not cosplay. That's not my thing. I do enjoy it. It is
Ninja Turtle.
fascinating. It's fascinating. I was hoping
It is fascinating.
I was hoping Phil would not cosplay as Ninja Turtle. It seems like it's too on the nose. Like it's too on nose for the brand to be a turtle. But okay.
Or Star Wars.
Yeah. The film adaptation of Dark Knight. You just mean like what do I think of the film? Because the Dark Knight movie is not a direct adaptation of a comic book per se. I think it is the best, Batman adaptation. I think it's the best film.
Those movies.
Yeah, the Nolan ones are great. Christian Bale was fine. They all have little issues as a comic book reader, as a nerd or whatever. I know people love Keaton and all of that, but I think they all have little pros and cons and things like that. So. Yeah, I'm kind of a Batman snob because that was my thing, so it's a little tricky. So, okay. So he means the animation. So he's talking about you're talking about this one. This is fantastic. So HBO Max has these. There's a Dark Knight Returns adaptation of this. It's very, very loyal, very, very good. If you're like I don't read comic books, I don't want to do it or whatever, but you kind of want to know what we're all talking about. If you watch that HBO thing, it's close enough. It's close enough. Sometimes it's dead on. Miller. So just a quick summary. I've done 2 videos on this book. This is the book that got me into this, by the way. This is the book that I read. Like, whoa, this isn't for kids. This is cool. Like, Batman's like 55 years old, been retired. No one knows where he went. And then suddenly he has to come out of retirement. And there's like jokes about him being old, jokes about hurting. It's revealed on why his chest plate is yellow. Like he takes a bullet directly to the chest and you can see the armor underneath. That's why it's yellow. So people will shoot where the armor is, not just shoot him in the head. So stuff like that. So
that's cool.
Sorry, folks. Awesome. So I blabbered and controlled the conversation most of the time. No surprise there. But what do you want to ask me?
So you've been reading comics like since you were a kid?
When I was little, yes. They were super, super cheap, of course, back then. My grandmother used to take me to a thrift store, and it was like 10 for $1. You could just get whatever random comic books are out of this box. They're just these big ratted out comic books for kids. And so that got me reading mostly Marvel. Mm-hmm. And we would go to grocery stores. I usually could just badger her enough to get one. And that's when I really was reading. I was reading Avengers mostly because they had so many different characters. Mm-hmm. And, I didn't really have them. And most of them didn't survive my childhood. I think I have one that doesn't have a cover. And right now I can't find it. I know I still have it. I remember moving it. That'll be the biggest. I'll do a whole stream just on that comic book because it's like it actually survived my childhood. And then you go to school. I go to college. And at the very end, when I transitioned to college, the Batman movie came out in 1989, and I was with some friends. Movie was a phenomenon. I was working at the movie theater, so I saw this movie like 4 or 5 times within the first couple of weeks because I had free passes to go. So it was a huge thing. There were really no superhero movies yet. We had Superman that was done over a decade previously, but Batman, right? And it was dark. It was edgy. and a friend and his brother had these graphic novels. So they had Killing Joke, Dark Knight, they had Crisis on Infinite Earths, they had all these graphic novels. I immediately loved it all. Went to a bookstore. It was called Walden Books. It was in a mall. They don't exist anymore. Bought all these graphic novels. Down the rabbit hole I was, like your husband, the OCD part of me had to have them all. Like I had every single crossover of Crisis, every single Batman. I was just, and then I kind of dabbled with what did I have when I was a kid. So I would like this Avengers issue here and there or whatever. So that's where the reading and collecting kind of started. And then it kind of blew up and become a thing. And my family had like they want to do like some, like they were like, had their own business. They said, well, I wonder if we could do like a flea market booth. And I said, well, I'd share the cost with you if you could do the one by the university, and I'll do it on the Saturday and Sunday if I can sell my comic books and my cards and stuff. And then it was like a business. It was like I was reading, collecting, and I could sell stuff to pay for my addiction. So it was
yeah.
So I had like, there's this little sweet spot of like late 80s and early 90s where basically I read pretty much all of it. Like I knew, I'm like a JV version of Gary Beekler. like it just like my sweet spot's not as long as his. I wasn't, and I didn't have a shop like every day, all day. Like it was just like this little things. But I can relate to a lot of his stories. A lot of we're almost exactly the same age and that kind of stuff. So, and then just kind of peaks and valleys. There were times where I really wasn't reading and collecting. There were times where I'd catch up. There was always an interest in good stories. I remember being broke and going to the public library and just getting graphic novels, checking them out at the library and reading them. I actually think I even kept doing that. I had one of my first writing gigs for a website, and they were like so happy with me. I was like, wow, this is fun, and I'm enjoying it, which means you do it and you hopefully are good at it if you enjoy it. I had to go to the library to get more stuff. I wouldn't have been able to afford buying all this stuff. I had to go and get. They weren't paying me that much, so I had to go, and that was kind of how it all started. And that led into movie reviews. That led into writing and covering Comic Cons, things like that. So yeah, that's where it all began. It's a crazy road. Yeah,
it is crazy.
Yeah,
but that's fun.
I learned to read out of a comic book. I guess I skipped that part. So grandparents, the enablers. So I was probably 3 or 4, and I guess there was a comic book or whatever. And I guess my grandfather, I would sit there and I'd ask what all these things were, including like the sound effects. Like that was their favorite part of the story. They would go, yeah, you would ask what, Zowie meant or whatever. Like, that's how I learned to read I learned to read out of a comic book, and that led in street signs. Like I could read street signs. Yeah. So I would I remember I could say that I could spell the word Madison in like pre-K, like the equivalent of pre-K, like the thing it wasn't called that back then, but that was like I could spell, because that was the name of one of the roads. It was like Madison. It's like Madison is capital of Wisconsin. It's also MADIS. I was like, what's wrong with this freaky kid? I was that freaky kid. Because we weren't told we were on the spectrum, but I'm on the spectrum. Like I'm that weird I'm just not right. My wife will tell you. Yeah. I'm the one that learned how to relearn how to do a Rubik's Cube again. Do you like to puzzle? Okay. Yeah. It's kind of like the thing. Yeah, it just depends. It's one of those weird things. Some people do it or don't. So yeah. It's
I work with kids on the spectrum, actually. That's my day job.
Okay.
And one of them is just like obsessed with riddles. And I hate riddles.
Not riddles as much as like actually like jigsaw puzzles.
Jigsaw puzzles are okay. And we honestly, we do make them do that because it's really good for you. Like it's good for your brain.
It reboots my hardware. That's the joke in my house. When I get really out of whack or whatever, it's like you need to do a puzzle. You need to do a puzzle. Pops needs a puzzle time. So. Yeah, I don't do riddles. I don't do puns and stuff. I just, some of that stuff gets a little tedious for my brain.
Oh, I can't. I don't mind puzzles, but like I don't want to sit there. Some people like, do you do like those big, huge thousands of pieces of puzzles or?
I don't. I have a couple that are like that, but 1,000 is kind of the max, and 1,000 is kind of too much. One of the kids gave me like a 300 piece one, like a Christmas one, and I could do it in a few hours, and that was really fun because we would just turn a movie on. I could just do it really. It's relatively quick, and it kind of got the effect of the reboot without it being like a 3-day project or anything like that. So yeah, that was a better plan for me. So I agree.
My brother used to do puzzles, but they were like these 3D. They were like foam pieces, but they were like 3D puzzles of famous buildings and architecture and stuff.
Yeah, I have a friend that still will dabble with that. I couldn't do that. I had one and just I always felt like I lost a piece, but I probably was just doing it wrong. Like I just Phil gave us his cosplay. He says he does Jedi as an archer or a Sith. Okay. Cool, man. Cool. This is not totally on brand. It's very cool. So well, I'll give you a few suggestions. Some stuff. Just kind of nudge you down the road a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool. So is there anything you read where you're like, yeah, I don't need that. It was bad. It was like so bad. I mean, this needs to be gone away with.
I read one of the very first comics I bought was a Wolverine from like 2019 or something.
Ooh, okay. Yep.
And it was so bad. I hated it. And I was so excited because I'd always been aware of Wolverine. I was like, I'm going to love Wolverine. I like the mystery of his story. He's got something to do with Canada, you know. So I was all excited. And it was as if we had started. And the comic book owner, he suggested it to me because, like, he's going to suggest everything, right? A little bit here and there. He's kind of learned what I like, so he suggests better things for me now. But he suggested this one, and I thought, okay, I'll try this. It was the first issue of some series, whatever line of story, but it felt like we started in the middle of something. I had no idea what was happening. He didn't even appear until like 4 pages in. I didn't like the art. It was very flat. And the dialogue was kind of disjointed, and there really wasn't that much dialogue to begin with. You
mean they walk around, talk about food?
Basically.
And there's a lot. Do they like pastels? Is it one of the pastel issues? They love to use pink, purple, magentas, yellows, things like that. They don't use like primary. Yeah, they don't like to use primary colors for some reason. And yeah, it's really strange. That's so funny. Yeah, we all have the same experience. Do not feel abnormal. Like a normal, sane person should never read America Chavez. Like it's just like there's something wrong with humans that think this is a good comic book. Like something's wrong with you. I literally I remember I read a Miles Morales comic. Like it's supposed to be, I don't know, it wasn't his origin, but it was like 7 or 8 issues. And I remember tweeting the artist, like, what happened between page 8 and page 9? Like, what happened? Like I took a screenshot of a couple panels and I tweeted him like, hey, what was the story here? What happened? And I expected to be going, oh yeah, this is what happened, or something. I just expected I wasn't trying to be a jerk. I was actually like, listen, I'm just kind of curious what the story is behind your book. It's like, it's kind of, and it was like, no, you're just blocked. What?
Oh my goodness.
I got blocked. I'm blocked by probably about 8 high profile comic book creators. And that's the kind of stuff I've been blocked for. Or in the case of Mark Brooks and Dan Slott, I'm Comicsgate adjacent, so therefore that's a reason to block me because I like people that aren't at the same building that they work at. I like people who used to write at the same buildings that they work at, and that's enough to block me. Which makes me actually want to burn my Berserker Mark Brooks cover one. I have 2 Berserker #1s. I have a Mark Brooks one. And I want to set it on fire now because he blocked me for no reason at all. And it just kind of, I look at that book and it angers me. And that's really not healthy. It makes me sad too, I guess. But
Jeepers. I haven't actually read Miles Morales or America Chavez, but I've just heard enough to know that I probably wouldn't like it. So
I couldn't believe it was as bad as they said. And the kids got me the app for Christmas. They have like this 50% off thing, I guess. I hope that's what they paid. And I would dabble. So I would read like old stuff I knew. Yeah. And then I would try to dabble with some of the new stuff. Like I would see a video about like your boy Zach or somebody and be like, I can't be that bad. Oh yeah, it's that bad. Or it's worse. I would take pictures of frames and try to share with normies. Like this is a new comic book. this is Ghost Rider 1990. And they're like, whoa. I'm like, yeah, imagine my brain. I'm like, something's wrong with the world. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool, man. It's been great to chat with you.
No, this has been super fun. And I have lots of good stuff.
Some new stuff to kind of throw on the radar screen and things to know and stuff. I love the videos. Keep up the work. Have fun. That's the most important thing. Yes, consistency, but don't put any pressure on yourself. They don't need to be 20 minutes, 30, whatever it is you have in your little head. There's no pressure. No pressure. You can schedule them. So you at Tuesday night, nothing's going on. You could just do a couple, have them in the can.
Yeah, that's true.
Have them in the can. It's okay. Listen, Steven Ransom's taking off. Joy to watch. Keep going on this journey. Look into European comics is a good path for interesting stuff. Yes. Thanks, Steven Ransom, for hanging out with us. I'll be on with Zach's later if any of you are interested in hopping over there with Zach. Zach's invited me over, so I'll be on with Zach in about a half hour or so. As long as I can stay awake, I'll be good. But it's been fun. Yeah, we should do this maybe once a month or so. Just kind of check in with each other, talk comic shop stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kind of enjoy the journey. An OG and a newbie. I feel like it's a fun ride. It's like, can't believe this. I gotta get more information out of this hubby. Like he's the OCD grader that wants to like invest or something. I'm like, oh,
maybe. And then he just like he goes all in, and then he kind of burns out. And so the other day he's all, I think I'm kind of getting tired of comics. And I was like, we have this many, like we have 2 feet of comics on the coffee table. What are you talking about? Anyways, he's still reading.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. You also have to be very careful too, not to chase the money, because it's just like everything else. It's a lot of trendy things you don't ever buy when it's popular. You know, don't ever think you need to buy something off the wall. It's a good investment. Do your research. Check eBay. Look at sales. Things.
And for the most, and he does do that. Like he's always on eBay and he's always comparing. So that's good. But yeah.
Yeah, market's soft right now. It's a little softer right now, so it's a decent time to buy some things, but who knows how soft it will go or where we're going to be headed. And it's also just like you've suddenly realized there's thousands upon thousands of things to read or enjoy. There's no end. That's why it's like trying to tell people. So I'm not really giving you bad advice when I say don't read things in the last 10 years, because there are so many thousands of comics that were made. There's still plenty of stuff to read. Yeah. And if something's in there that I'm wrong, like I just didn't know about it or something, someone else will let you know. If there's a good Miles Morales story that I just didn't know about, it'll float to the top. Someone will notice it. Yeah. Like it's okay. It's not gonna stay in the cesspool. It is a broad generalization, guys. I'm sure some stuff in there is okay. And I will say, because this came up the other night, they do dupe you with really nice covers sometimes. Oh. So be real careful if you're like me, where you're a bit of a cover whore and you like them, because sometimes you open it up and the art on the inside looks like a 9-year-old drew, and that cover on the outside is like a work of art, and you're like, "What has happened? I've been scammed." Yeah,
I do go for the covers too.
I love covers.
Yeah,
or they're on display behind me. A lot of those are slabbed on purpose because they're beautiful, you know, and. Yeah, that's the only reason, to me, a lot of reasons to slab a book is to preserve it or do it as an investment, but it's not, you can't read it again. The whole point of slabbing it is that you don't read it again. But so, well, good. I'm glad to enjoy our time together. You're able to fit me in and we chatty comic stuff. So
it was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Folks, if you're not enjoying Noob Reviews, I'm telling you, as you guys have said in the chat, joy to watch, fun, great experience. Definitely check out her stuff. So I do not have a special outro, but I will find something for us to enjoy and have a smile. Let's see if I can have a smile. I'm not monetized yet, but you know how these sites do the thing like for super chat stuff where they'll play little clips and stuff. And my shtick's going to be like comedy instead of like the serious ones. So I keep making notes of like how to get things through the copyrights, find the right clips. So here's one of my copyright clips. You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. What? Never gets
every
old.
time.
Never gets old. Never gets old. Well, we'll just go out with some more Eric July because Rippaverse is still blowing up, and we're very happy for him and can't wait. So,
Yeah. Right? And I'm not playing